Every December, as twinkling lights and holiday markets transform towns across Austria, the Alpine streets prepare for a visitor far darker than jolly old Saint Nick. With horns curling up from a mangled, furry face and bloodshot eyes that glare from behind a grotesque wooden mask, the figure of Krampus prowls through snow-covered villages, terrifying onlookers young and old alike. Far from the joyful spirit of Santa Claus, Krampus embodies the eerie, ancient reminder that not all of the holiday season's figures bring warmth and cheer. This is Krampusnacht, an age-old tradition dating back hundreds of years in the central and eastern Alpine regions. And while Krampus, Europe's half-goat, half-demon monster who punishes naughty children, has always been well known to Austrians, Germans, and others in the Alps, he has recently gained a new following beyond Europe. This holiday terror has been introduced to the United States, and it's proving he can frighten, fascinate, and thrill Americans just as easily as his European audience. But what's behind this dark twist on the holiday season? Why has Krampus's legacy endured in some places and been stamped out in others, only to re-emerge with a vengeance? This is the dark history of Krampus. To understand Krampus, you first have to put aside the idea of Christmas as a season of unbroken sweetness and joy. Krampus's story is about contrasts. As Jeremy Ziegers, a Krampusnacht festival organizer in Orlando, Florida, explains, the Krampus is the yin to Saint Nick's yang. You have the saint, you have the devil. It taps into a subconscious macabre desire that is the opposite of the saccharine Christmas a lot of us grew up with. Krampus is more than a figure of fright. He is a symbol of consequence. According to the legend, each year on the night of December 5th, Krampus roams the streets searching for children who've misbehaved throughout the year. He's traditionally the partner of St. Nicholas, the benevolent figure who rewards well-behaved children with gifts on December 6th. As St. Nicholas slips candy and treats into the shoes of the good, Krampus is close behind with a far more sinister agenda. For those who haven't been so virtuous, Krampus carries birch sticks known as root to dole out punishment. And if you've been really naughty, he's ready to haul you off to his lair in a sack where you'll meet an even worse fate. Stories differ, but some suggest torture or even being devoured by the horned creature. To picture Krampus is to imagine something out of a nightmare. His body thick with dark fur, his face mangled and feral. He sports an abnormally long, red tongue that flicks out as he charges forward. The horns on his head further emphasize his demonic nature, reminiscent of other sinister figures from Alpine mythology like the Stregala and Perchten. But unlike Santa's red and white suit, Krampus's terrifying appearance isn't softened by any holiday cheer. He's a beast out of Europe's folkloric past, where harsh winters and a life close to nature inspired tales meant to chill you to the bone. The tradition of Krampusnacht, or Krampus Night, and the appearance of the Krampus is believed to have originated long before Christianity arrived in the Alpine region. Historians trace Krampus's roots to pre-Germanic paganism, where legends told of horned, animalistic spirits meant to ward off the ghosts of winter. In fact, the name Krampus is thought to derive from the German word Krampen, meaning claw. Some say he's even the son of Hel, the Norse goddess of the underworld, linking Krampus to ancient themes of death and judgment. Once Christianity swept through the region, Krampus was not welcomed warmly. His beastly, devilish traits made him a troubling figure for the Catholic Church, and in the 12th century attempts were made to eliminate Krampusnacht from Alpine traditions. These efforts intensified in the 1930s when Austria's conservative Christian Social Party sought to eradicate Krampus, fearing his frightening image and devil-like features would damage children's mental health. But year after year, Krampus endured, a beloved and dreaded figure that refused to be stamped out. To this day, the Krampus legend persists in Austria and neighboring countries like Germany, Slovenia, and Hungary. Each winter, Krampuslauf or Krampus Run takes to the streets in a parade that feels more like a battle cry against the encroaching dark than a holiday celebration. Young men dressed as Krampus stomp through the town, brandishing sticks and swinging cowbells that clang against the night air. Spectators, whether local or visiting, are often caught off guard by the raw, unfiltered energy of the event. For many, the sight of Krampus charging toward them, cowbells ringing and birch sticks swinging, is a visceral experience, a thrill as ancient as the mountains themselves. As tourism expanded and the world grew more connected, Krampus's dark appeal reached beyond the Alps. Around 2004, a book by art director Monty Beauchamp showcasing vintage Krampus postcards helped introduce the character to a wider audience. Beauchamp's collection of Krampuskarten, or Krampus cards, featured the devilish figure looming menacingly over frightened children, a sharp contrast to the warm holiday cards more familiar to American audiences. Suddenly, Krampus had entered the popular imagination in the United States, leading to an ironic cult following, and eventually, a series of events and parades dedicated to this alpine anti-Santa. Today, you can find Krampus festivals in many American cities. Orlando, for example, hosts its own Krampusnacht, where Zagers and others dress up in terrifying costumes to celebrate. With the growth of online markets like Etsy, a cottage industry of Krampus-themed items has emerged. From greeting cards to ugly Christmas sweaters, the figure of Krampus has become a familiar face in holiday collections. Krampus's peak in U.S. popularity may have come with the 2015 horror comedy film Krampus. The movie, full of dark humor and supernatural frights, brought the character into cinemas across the country. This was a far cry from the traditional European Krampus, but it cemented his role as a beloved anti-hero for American fans, eager for a break from Christmas's usual wholesome cheer. Despite his American popularity, Krampus's presence in Alpine Europe remains unique, and the figure continues to be both loved and feared in the region where he first appeared. Today, however, a new generation of Alpine residents is encountering Krampus for the first time, and not everyone is thrilled. In recent years, Austria has welcomed an influx of refugees, many from Syria and Afghanistan, who find Krampus's fierce appearance and loud processions more terrifying than charming. The town of Lienz, home to one of the most famous Krampus parades, addressed these concerns by holding a presentation where refugees could learn about the tradition, understand the costumes, and see the props up close. You can't force people to adopt cultural traditions of which they have no basis or point of reference, Zegers explains, noting that introducing Krampus to refugees was a sensitive but thoughtful move. For many, this education helps bridge a cultural gap, showing newcomers the history and humor behind the character rather than simply the frightful face. Why has Krampus endured in a season so dominated by warmth and kindness? Perhaps because he offers something different, a cathartic escape from the pressures of perfect holiday cheer. Krampus isn't there to spread good tidings or reward kindness. Instead, he's a reminder that the holiday season, like life itself, holds both light and dark. In an age where Christmas is often commercialized to the point of losing meaning, Krampus feels like an antidote, a figure that brings ancient roots back into the festivities. Whether it's the thrilling scare of a Krampuslauf parade, the nostalgic charm of a Krampuskarten postcard, or the horror comedy delight of watching Krampus on a cold winter's night, this half-goat, half-demon legend provides a twisted kind of comfort. For a growing number of people, Krampus is more than just a folklore relic. He's a symbol of embracing life's imperfections, and perhaps of acknowledging the darkness that makes the light shine all the brighter. So, if you find yourself in the Alpine Mountains next December, or even at an American Krampusnacht festival, keep a lookout. You might hear the jangle of cowbells echoing in the snow-filled streets, or see a dark figure looming against the backdrop of twinkling lights. And as you feel a momentary chill run down your spine, remember, you might just be the next one on Krampus's list.